Hey David, this is the week 7 summary video. Basically my week consisted of writing my paper and doing a lot of research for that, for the ethical issues paper. I started my research on Monday for the fetal stem research, and I got a decent amount of information from that, and I wrapped it up probably around Wednesdays when I gathered all my information together that I needed in my notes. And Thursdays when I started writing the paper. Right around Friday, Saturdays when I put in the final touches to the paper, finishing it up. And I definitely found a lot of interesting stuff during the research process. One of the biggest findings I found out was that the actual stem cell that they are going to doing the research on, or using it to make more cells or cell line, don't come from fetuses or dead babies per se. I used to think that a lot of times they would come from aborted fetuses, but the actual embryonic cell research comes from IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. So a couple that decides to go about doing IVF, they have the option to either just destroy the leftover embryos, donate them to another family, or send them in for scientific research. And that's basically how the embryo stem cell research goes about. And those are the most, I guess you would say, highest priority that researchers want, just because they are a pluripotent cell, which means that they have many different variations of cells in them that you could rearrange over 200, whereas the normal adult cell or a multipotent cell basically only has right around 100. So there's less variation that you can actually do with that cell. I ended up finishing that up on Saturday, like I said, posted it in there today. I also went about doing my neat video today. I did it on solar panels on houses, and kind of just, it talks about how the sun's energy is transferred from the solar panel into a DC direct current down into the circuit box, where then it's traveled throughout the house to an AC, which powers, the electronics in the house, our TV, our mobile devices, and everything that runs on electricity. But the other interesting fact that I found out was the power that's not being used. Say it's a really sunny day and you're not home, and it's just basically soaking up power through the solar panels. They said in their video that it is then rewired or transferred, I guess, from your house to I guess the electrical company, and from there you actually get paid from the electrical company because you're providing them with extra energy. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, if you think about it, it's probably really expensive to go about getting those solar panels, but in the long run you're saving a bunch of money and probably making some on the side, which is just pretty cool. And also this week that took a big part of my time would be the second project, using the solar cell to make, oh, there comes my dog Shorty. Anyways, would be using a solar cell to make, I'm sorry, I lost the train of thought. Oh yeah, to make the snap circuit. The one that I did, I think it was the first project that we could do. It wasn't one of the later 200s, it was the earliest 200, I think like 242 or something like that, but for the AM radio. What I came about noticing was that the scrap solar cells weren't very powerful. they I guess you could say that we either needed a really large panel or needed to somehow take all these scrap solar cells and somehow solder them all together to make this huge area that could get a lot more sun and have a bigger area to attract the sun. Because when I did the test on the multimeter, the scrap cell that I used, which was the largest piece in my bag, only put about like 0.5 volts out, and from testing the two batteries, it seemed like two batteries ran at like 5.3, and then actually to power the radio, it took about a little over 3 volts to actually power the whole thing. So what I ended up doing was just using a battery attachment along with the solar cell. That way that the battery itself wasn't enough to power the whole circuit, so that when I used the solar cell, it gave it a little extra juice, I guess, to make it actually run. And there's my brother throwing me headphones. I also started taking notes on the PET scans, MRI, the atomic nuclear physics, and relativity. Listen to those videos and went about taking notes on that stuff. And let's see what else. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the week. As far as next week goes, I'm definitely going to put all my notes together and kind of make a little summary for that video. That way I can just kind of review what I did throughout this summer semester. But anyways, me and Shorty would just like to say bye and have a good week.